So it must be Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek. Larry Nemecek coming at you, yes, on a special day. But as we do every Tuesday, right here from the heart of Star Trek, from the heart of Trekland, through Portal 47, it's Dr. Trek here with your sanity, clarity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek. When Star Trek and elections collide. Yep, that's my soapbox today. Hey, glad to see everybody popping in. Hope everybody can be with us today on a crazy day. I had people last night saying, are you going to do a show tomorrow? You're going to do a Tuesdays Live tomorrow? Well, of course. There's plenty of time to do things ahead. If you haven't already, you've got time to do it. Don't let me stop you. You can always watch this later. If you're new to us, if you stumble in today, my goodness, what a day, what a time. But welcome to our Trekland Tuesdays Live community. You can jump in here on the chat on all the platforms. Twitch, I promise you, I will talk to you, but not in the beginning. Okay, this isn't a Twitch-only show. We're multi-streaming, just so you know. And just so you know, too, I want to give an early shout-out to everybody in our Patreon here at Trekland Tuesdays Live. We have the TTL Club, and we've got the Live Wires. I want to thank all of them. There you go. And we'll get you in a little bit later. Hey, I want to dive right in, but if you are new, you'll need to know that I will soapify here. I'll be on my little tangent for a few minutes. Then we'll take a midway break, and then I will get back. We'll look at the Parrot Analytics streaming TV ratings for the U.S., and maybe a couple of tangents. Very illuminating if you've never heard about them. And yes, Discovery is involved. And then we'll get to the Q&A full bore, okay? Unless I see somebody worth yelling and shouting out, guys. If I see you new, I will try to give you a special hello. And thanks for joining us here, whether it's on YouTube, like and subscribe, or on Facebook. But hey, let's get right to it, okay? When Star Trek and elections collide, nothing like a topical topic, right? I know you're thinking, well, I don't know what you're thinking. A lot of you have seen... Let me grab these guys. A lot of you have seen this picture making the rounds. We make these live, right? It's 1968. What a political year. Everything was about marching. Everything was about bumpers, stickers, and buttons. And so, of course, somebody had made one of these up. Now, this is from March 68. So it's Leonard's getting his hair in touch there. They're talking about... Nope, not March 68. It's a little later. It's like May. They're shooting third seasons, what I'm trying to say here. And Leonard's either at home or in his trailer. Actually, he's probably at home or in an office. They didn't have that nice of trailers. And if you remember your March on NBC photos, I didn't pull one out, but there are a lot of Mr. Spock for President homemade signs. I don't know about the bumper stickers then. They were clearly in evidence because everybody had one. Yeah. So Star Trek's been in the consciousness. 68. What an insane year. I mean, it's the Martin Luther King, Bobby Kennedy assassination year, the Chicago riots, and Nixon winning barely when they thought he would win it, blowing away. LBJ not running again because of Vietnam. Insane year. Started off with the Star Trek renewal, Save Star Trek campaign bearing fruit, and ended with Apollo 8. But anyway, that was 1968. The legacy has always been there. Now, guys, you can find these right now. For some reason, I've wound up with a couple of these in the old collection. I don't know. I thought it was funny back in the day, but here's one. Yep. Pretty plain Jane, but I've had this since 92. And then, 4 years later, I guess I could have found a bigger one. But there we go. Janeway Tuvok. They'll get us home. Can you see that? There you go. And yeah, you can go and find them right now. You can go find Kirk Spock's. You can find Picard Riker's. I don't know if there may be some Saru Burnhams out there. I don't know. Maybe some Pike number ones. But you can go find things all the time. Somebody out there is collecting those every year more actively than I am. Anyway, it's a fun thing to do. It reminds you, if nothing else, it reminds you where Star Trek is in the zeitgeist, where it is in pop culture. It is so huge. And people, if they find their political heroes lacking, and there's times when politics and even athletics have let us down on heroes, it's nice to know that Star Trek has never let us down for heroes. In fact, when Star Trek was hanging on and hanging on and hanging on, and people were getting tired of not having good answers to why is Star Trek so popular, that all the mainstream reporters and academics would even pose. I love the answers that people started to come up with about how the ancient Greeks and Romans had their gods. No, these guys are not God. These actors and actresses, these creatives are not gods. But they tell stories just the way the ancients would look and create their gods and come up with stories, including the stories that framed the constellation names, all drawn from mythology, at least in the Northern Hemisphere. And, you know, there they are, imbuing the zodiac signs and all of this, all the zodiac, all the constellations are coming from the legends of the gods that were heroes to the ancients. Is it any wonder that we can now go to Archer 4, a star named after one of our heroes of the later age? No, it's that all these real life actors, actresses, creators, producers, second assistant caterers, all of them are bringing stories that people find heroic, and that's where they're finding their heroes. And we as humans have always looked to people of fiction for our heroes, or made the fiction heroes larger than life if we couldn't really get there. So yeah. Yeah, it makes total sense for Picard Riker to be there. Hi, you're here.
Yes.
Okay, and you're going to go it too.
Where's the car?
It's down the street.
On this side?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We're live, guys. We're live. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's probably been several times when Star Trek has intersected more tangibly with elections. I don't know. About the time I start to think that everybody knows this story, then I realize that not everybody does. So let's wind back. Let's wind back to the fall of 1973. In Star Trek terms, of course, that was the premiere of the animated series, right? On NBC Saturday morning, September 8th. I love how it was the same anniversary as the original series. But what you may not know is that George Takei, yes, Uncle George, everybody knows now as our high-flying, humorist-minded activist for all things LGBTQ for the spectrum community. George was always very political, and by 1973, he was running for the LA City Council. It's an off-year election back then. Well, still can be. He was a delegate to the 72 Democratic Convention, the one that nominated McGovern, but he ran for the LA City Council. He finished second to the eventual winner. He got 33% of the vote. The winner got 43% of the vote. He lost by only 1,647 votes. 47? Yes. But here's the thing. The local KNBC here locally did not run the debut episode of Star Trek Animated, because back when we had a real FCC that enforced campaign and equal time rules, other candidates were, and the station itself was worried that having him on Saturday morning with kids watching his voice and his cartoon visage would be an unfair advantage. So they actually did not run the premiere episode. In fact, the first few episodes were done. They ran another episode, I don't know which, but they ran another episode that Sulu was not part of, just so they could still run an episode of, yeah. So the ratings for KNBC in LA that Saturday were apples and oranges to the rest of the country if you were watching the ratings for Saturday morning TV. And somebody was. They had to sell those commercials. Even then, the other candidates in the race said, oh, how far we've come. I did not realize this. The other candidates in the race said even doing that made it not fair, because he's an actor. And of course, people know his voice and his visage, his look. And that wasn't fair for an actor to be running for politics. Yeah, 1973, folks. Singing a different tune 7 years later. Actually, 3 years later. Oh, how far we've come. What I didn't realize was, now I knew George was later put on the board of the Southern California Rapid Transit District, which was the district set up to, yes, we have subways in LA. We're building more right now. Earthquake town, how can it? Yes, I know they're pioneering that kind of thing. Japan's doing the same kind of thing. He was called away. He was on that board for many years in 74. In 78, they had done all the years of planning and were about to finally make the vote to commit to building the first subways in LA. It was a tie vote. George was filming on the motion picture, and he was called away from filming so he could go down to the meeting and cast the tie-breaking vote to start building LA's subway system. Now, that wasn't an election per se, but it was still a Star Trek political bent. And then in 1980, I did not realize this. I didn't grow up here. I didn't realize this. So kids, you learn something new every day. In 80, the old District 46 for the California State Assembly, the State House of California, George ran for the District 46 seat. And after he started his campaign, he withdrew because all the other candidates in the race raised the issue about equal time again, and that his face was on Star Trek all the time. And he withdrew from the race rather than make all the local stations carrying Star Trek stop carrying Star Trek. And this is 1980, right? No bloody A, B, C, or D yet. It was still making a huge pot of money for everybody else on the show, even in residuals. And and he did not want to harm everybody else's small but steady residual stream. He withdrew from the race and did not run rather than interrupt the residuals income for everybody else. I did not know that. See, kids? Yeah. Now, look, there's other times too. Kate Mulgrew, for a while, was married to the Democrat who was kind of a token sacrificial Democrat that ran for the governorship of Ohio when no other Democrat would do that. That was right after Voyager was off the air. I mean, there have been times, oh my gosh, you could go back to Jerry Ryan's involvement with her ex-husband who was going to, that whole bizarro story about their unfortunate divorce and the sex scandal with her husband and that she was divorced. And because of the scandal, he did not run against Barack Obama. And Barack Obama had an easier path than he would have otherwise to be a senator from Illinois and have some kind of a jumping pad, a launching pad to make his keynote speech at the 04 convention, Democratic National Convention, that launched his public persona, his awareness in the light. Yeah. 4 years ago, a lot of people were, hey, I'm going to get a little political here, but it's election day. A lot of people in the Star Trek community did not exactly think that everything that Donald Trump stood for was germane to Star Trek belief in the end. Most of the time, it's not an overtly political thing. People did not feel that was within the normal bounds of politics. And 4 or 5 folks, including me, helped start a Facebook page called Trek Against Trump that wound up having 38,000 names. There was a statement and you just joined. And we had everybody from leads and actors that you knew about down to, a lot of the authors, a lot of the writers, a lot of the crew people who worked for vendors who worked for the show, people who used to answer the phone at visual effects houses who worked on the show. Wound up with like 38,000 people. There was a counter page, free speech, called Trek for Trump. I kept the clips. It wound up with about 300 people. So 38,000 to about 300. So there has been a history, even though we say it's an ongoing debate now. Again, it's come back. It cycles around. How can you not be of a liberal progressive bent if you're a Star Trek fan? I've read in fact, the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've read some very impassioned, responsible essays by a couple of conservative fans. They're not a professional fan. They do something else with their livelihood. Attorneys, say, or some other field. They're huge Star Trek fans, and they talk about why they're conservative and what about Star Trek appeals to them as conservative. But nowhere do these people nowhere do they trash the idea of IDIC or of Star Trek's future diversity, future aspirationalism, future reliance on rational science. Those are all tenets they still agree with. They just find a way to be politically, classically conservative. When I was in high school and I had an isms class, I was taught that conservative meant status quo, and liberal meant looking for change, and that all politics is a dynamic, which it is. It's how long do we keep what we have right now? When do we change it? Now, part of that is like, do we ever go back? Do we ever regress? And some people feel that status quo can be regressive, even if you don't change, if everything else is changing around you. But those are the classical definitions of conservative, and there still are a few of them. And there are a lot of principled conservatives who are not in favor of the nominee of their party. And I'm sorry if I'm getting a little political, but of all the days, I think this is the time and the place to do it. But I'm staying very much on solid ground here, guys. I'm staying very much on solid ground here. Star Trek is popular. Star Trek became popular in the 60s because it seemed anti-war, private little war, ultimate computer, in charge of the real people versus the oppressive onslaught of technology. Against war for war's sake, against racism. Let that be your last battlefield, even if it is on the nose. We all know what made Star Trek popular to that original 60s generation, and what made it still popular, heaven forbid, through the 70s and the 80s. It wasn't just the ships and the pew-pew, although that's pretty cool. It's funny how it's all come back around today. Funny how we're having these same debates, although I think about 10% of the debate is ginned up for money, not sincere. There's growing academic research starting to back that up. Go back and check out our earlier episode, Russians, Robots, and Reflections, one of the earliest Trekland Tuesdays live. So there you go. Yeah. Star Trek is no stranger to politics, and it's no stranger to elections. I mean, I think this is a pretty good winning team. We just visited them on Nepenthe again. They still look pretty sharp to me. I'd follow those two guys anywhere, as long as they were bringing Troy along with them. Hey, everybody. Listen, thanks. Just keeping it light today. Speaking of light, how about one more? The first months we were in LA was the fall of '94 with the coming of Voyager. I was working on the TNG Companion again and all kinds of Trek projects, and Janet found herself working at the Hart Building as assistant script coordinator on Voyager. I was smart enough to an assistant director, Eric Albee, did this in the fall of '94. The election was, it was an off-year election. It was a midterm, right? It was midway through Clinton's first term. And they had just shot a show that had not aired yet. It wouldn't air until '95. Voyager premiered in '95. In my head, it's always '94 because they were shooting so many shows. And in time for elections, this popped up. Some of you, the portal has seen this. Yeah. It's from the Polarion. Can you read that? In the struggle against tyranny, the crew of Hot Dog on a Stick, number 318, demand time off to vote. Now, this is office humor. This may be the only copy ever made, much less I'm sure it's the only one still in existence. And I've loved it ever since. See the old time code over here on the video. So yeah, even when it wasn't public, Star Trek was at least being a good citizen there. Okay. Did you enjoy that? A little bit of Star Trek election overlap there. Hey, I'm about to take a break, guys. But before I do, if you're going to be with me live, hang on. We will be there. But meanwhile, I just want to say, if you're leaving me right now, once again, a shout out. Whoa. To all of our Patreons. You got it there? So thank you again. Blaze K, Lawrence Todd, Blake Arledge, and yes, Rusty Hair, Jared Cooper, Mr. Vestek, Halbjorn Gun Johnson. There we go. Jalen Bullock, Gary Wallace, Robert McLean, and Eli Irvin. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being part of my Patreon. If you want to do that too, we're at we just started a new month. It'll be the end of this month, but you can jump in for $5 or $10. It's simple. It's that much a month. Nothing complicated. It's for a shout out, and our $10, our live wires, get access to the first generation of interviews I did with our Portal 47 guests that no one, including current Portal 47 numbers, has seen. It's patreon.com/Trekland Live. You can go support all kinds of creatives there. Patreon's a wonderful way to do that. Otherwise, guys, news this week. Saturday hasn't been getting a lot of attention. One more virtual event, okay? Our friends at Science Division, Kalea and Jay, are doing another virtual event. This time it's called Vendors Hall, HAUL, get it? It's set up. It's all licensees. It's all CBS official licensees. And, you know, we will get through this election. And bang, there's the holidays. It's time for holiday giving. Yes, even in the time of COVID, even more so. And there'll be all kinds of online vendors with Star Trek licenses, all kinds of products there, plus for 90 minutes. But there'll also be panels all day long. I'm going to be representing my column. We're going to do a live version of my column for the official magazine from Titan Magazines, Fistful of Data. We're going to do it live with callers in-house in chat. And then I'm going to do a booth time. We'll talk about anything about Next Generation from the Companion. We'll talk about anything from Stellar Cartography. We'll talk about anything from my column, which kind of runs it right open. So basically, anything you want to talk, we'll talk for that hour. This is Saturday. This Saturday, Pacific time, it's from 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. The boothing is going to be an hour and a half in the middle of that. But yeah, a lot of you across the pond can jump in on that too. Okay, that's 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern with a little intro. Things really kick off at 8 a.m., 11 a.m., and run until 10 p.m. A lot of good stuff there. And yes, I would be amiss. Did you hear? We're just starting to blast it out. We announced the surprise guest. Well, not the surprise guest. The guest for our annual anniversary open house. 5th anniversary this year. Hey, it's David Carson, who directed Generations, the movie, as well as the DS9 pilot, yesterday's Enterprise, 9 more episodes. He's a wonderful guy. We'll have some photos. We'll have talk with him an hour. Also some samples of the roundtable. This is my open house for Portal 47, where we throw the doors open. It's free to everybody to come up. Just grab yourself a seat so you can get the information about where to go. We've been doing virtual for 5 years. So welcome to the club, rest of the world. It's also how you got a global community going. But we bring you Portal 47, the minicon, all year long. Deep diving backstage, behind the scenes. It's all the Star Trek you had no idea about. Anyway, jump over to LarryNemecek.com. Grab your seat right there. There's a button right out front. I'm so excited. I talked to David. I interviewed him back in the day for The Companion in 94. We have not talked since, aside from setting this up. So I'm looking forward to that. We have a lot of insights to bring to it. Other than that, guys, hey, yes, the Trek Files is on hiatus just a little bit longer. Time to catch up if you want a break from the election madness. Nothing better than picking out one of our 125 episodes in the first 5 seasons. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. So hang in there. We're making plans. I was tweeting out pictures. I'm pulling files as we speak, lining up guests. And then, of course, every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, you can catch Ali and I, Dr. Ali and Dr. Trek, one of us is a real doctor, on Life Support Live, going boldly through uncertain times. They're going to be uncertain for a while longer, no matter what happens today. But we all could use a little pick-me-up in the week, and we all could stand to do it through a little geek out Star Trek. Anyway, hope you can join us. A lot of you do join us every Saturday. That's it for right now. I'm going to take the midway break here, as we call it, if you're watching on YouTube later. But if you're watching us live on any channel, hang on. I'll be right back after the break. We will get to the Parrot Analytics ratings this week in the U.S. and also all of your chat. Have I been in sync the whole time? Let's hope. Guys, listen. We're just not out around the bend on this yet, so please stay healthy. Stay woke. Check the sources. Most of all, of course, trek well, everybody. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's see what the parrots bring us. Oh, I meant to hold up my Discovery patch and say Discovery's becoming even more amazing every week. But I didn't. So now I will. Let's look at the parrots. If you are new and you're hanging in with us, the Parrot Analytics is a company out of New Zealand that came to the States years ago. We've been following it since Discovery. It's probably been 10 years now. But Discovery brought it to our attention because Discovery is on a streamer that doesn't use the Nielsen ratings because there's no commercials, ostensibly. Yeah. Parrot developed a mnemonic to use the free internet and judge popularity. I've seen other, I saw an article the other day where a company doing that with political commentary that had correctly scoured the internet, only instead of for TV and episodes, they did it for politics. And they correctly predicted the Brexit election, the 2016 presidential election, and the 2018 midterms in the US. And they've made a prediction for today. So it's not an odd thing. Parrot uses it for politics. Who knows? Maybe someday, for entertainment, they may jump out and do it for other realms. But for right now, we're going to look at the parrots for TV. And this week on the streaming only, on the digital only shows, the top 10 in the US measured against this mathematical average show, which is the average show. It's really, the averages are in the middle from 24% to 74%. The below average or below 24% on this average demand expression metric that they come up with. Basically finding any trace of a show online in any form by anybody. The above average are 74 and above. And there we go into good, outstanding, and exceptional. But that's not such a big deal. It's the Times average show. Number one, you would not be surprised to know, was Mandalorian this week with the comeback, with the premiere of the new season. It's still, though, 70.9%. Not over 100, but only 70.9% more popular than an average show. It's number one, followed by Stranger Things, Cobra Kai, The Boys, Titans, and back in number 6, Star Trek Discovery at 33.4%, or 33.4 times more popular than average show. It had been number 6, then number 5, now back to number 6 again. It had been 33, 36, now back to 33-ish again. It's 33.4 times more popular than average show. Rest of the top 10 is Umbrella Academy, Clone Wars, Lucifer, and The Witcher. So The Witcher winds up at 26.8 times more popular than an average show. That's the digitals only. Now on the top 10 overalls, Mandalorian is only number 4. SpongeBob, My Hero Academia, and Saturday Night Live, political season. Then Mandalorian, then Stranger Things, and then Game of Thrones, Walking Dead on a real bump, I guess, Halloween. Steven Universe, South Park, and The Flash is the top 10 overalls. Again, another mix, a big mix. Now, we've got that number of Discovery, 33 times 4 last week. It dropped a little bit just looking at daily or the 30-day average. On a 30-day average, Discovery is trending at 33 times 2. Okay, a fraction. More popular. It's still in the exceptional range. It's still in the top 0.2% of all popular shows online. Discovery is. And its demand over 60 days. Now, of course, it only debuted. We're only on episode 4. It's only been airing for 4 of these 8 weeks. But over 60 days, its trend line is a little down, but it's still high. It's still up there, okay? And it is still turning out as it's higher in popularity than 99.7% of all other dramas. That's across the board. It doesn't say streaming. Star Trek Discovery, more in demand than 99.7% of all other dramas. There you go. There you go. The parrots don't lie. So good showing for Discovery. Good showing for online. It's just been amazing to me how all of a sudden poor little old dilithium sat there for 50 years and nobody much cared. And boy, howdy, in the last week, everybody's got to go research dilithium and Romulans. And oh, I just love that. I don't know if I will ever get used to my little bailiwick of the world being on fire. But there's your week to week. Next week, it'll be something else. Next week, who knows? We may get back to the F word again as the crisis of the week. Where does it all settle down? 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, where will all this settle? That'll be the question. How will we all watch TV 5 and 10 years from now? Will we have TV 5, 10 years from now? Okay, kiddos, I'm going to zoom back. I guess I should say I should restream back. We're not zooming and see how everybody's doing. Linda says, thanks for loading, Larry. Well, of course, I voted ever since I was 18. I'm so pissed because I missed being able to vote for president by about, 4 months. November election, I turned 18 in January. And how long was it? I had to vote 4 times for president before I was able to vote for a winner. I thought they were all winners anyway, but that was a long drought. And then by the time I could vote for winners, I was a reporter and having to be kind of mum about it. Hey, Cairo. Yes, we're so bound up with the election. Do you all know there was like a terrorist shooting in Vienna? Vienna? Yeah, so thoughts going out to you guys. Jolan, true to you, Robert. Yeah, good to see everybody. Let's see. I'm looking for actual questions. Actual questions, guys, are always helpful. Let's see. I'm racing back here. Oh, Cairo says, I just hope that I can't do this. I just hope that the upcoming night in the U.S. is more peaceful and less dominated by fear than last night at your place. So do I, but I don't wish that on anyone. Let's see. Yeah. And yes, vote win for Kai. Oh, are we all Vedics? Do we get a vote in the Vedic assembly? Yes. Hey, Rusty, yell and shout to you too. Yep. Let's see. Come on, spiel away here. Good to see 4 more years of dilithium. Okay. Yeah. Nathaniel, I voted 2.5 weeks ago in North Carolina, standing line for 4 hours. Well, good on you. There's no excuse for that. That's stupid. We will fix that. But good for you for being make dilithium pink again. Hey, Trek on the Tube. Good to see you two here, at least at the beginning. Oh no, I'm low res today? Really? Uh-oh. Keith, yeah, you had a hurricane last week. Good to hear that. Good to hear you're hanging in the poor Gulf Coast. Yeah, but it's all fake. It's all fake. Climate, yeah, it's all fake. Okay, yeah, YouTube and Facebook, they never get along. Last week we had a break on we had a small hiccup in Ecamm. It broke Facebook, but YouTube chugged along, which was interesting. Linda says, never saw the Janeway 2 Aquaman. Well, really, every 4 years. Those are just 2 I had. I didn't make a point of grabbing, 2000s or 2004s or 2008s or 2012s. I didn't make a point of grabbing some, but these are getting older. Well, Rebecca, of course you have a Crusher for President sticker. Of course you do. Yeah. Oh, that's a nice one, Linda. Beverly or Wesley? I think we know the answer to that. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Glenn. If anybody knows Yeah. Pat Paulson for president was running the same year that Spock for president sticker that Leonard was holding would have been. Yeah. Let's see. They do inspire us to no end, Trek on the Tube. Yes, Dan, the Trek stories in turn often take inspiration from ancient mythology. I mean, who mourns for Adonais? As Russell Bates finally taught me to say Adonais and not Adonis, even though everybody has said Adonis for years and years and years. Rebecca, your dad collected campaign badges. Nixon badge. Yeah, I had a friend. I bought a bunch of badges, buttons at the National Archives gift shop that were, recreations. And then I had a friend last year. I wonder where it is. I have a friend last year that gave me a lot of authentic buttoned national and California ones since like the 60s, and they're amazing. Maybe not gods, but definitely pantheons. Well put, Keith. Well put. Nathaniel, I wonder if any Star Trek characters who entered the service in order to build a political career. I don't think it was politics, but our basic, everybody's quasi-canon, thanks to Mike and Mike's graphics in a Mirror Darkly, have Archer as the first Federation president, for starters. There's that, but I don't think that's why Archer went into the service. Yes. Where did you go there? Hey, Daniel. Speaking as a Brit, the state of the isolationist Earth in season 3 Discovery, no spoilers, is not lost on you. Absolutely. Yeoman Rand popped by. Okay. You'll have to explain that one to me, Johannes. I'm not sure. When is your wife going to make a video appearance, not just audio? Well, she was a Portal 47 guest finally, because she was 5 years the assistant script coordinator for Voyager. She kind of got burned along the way there. Like a lot of my memories of Voyager are kind of on the personal side. Voyager and DS9 and Enterprise, and Voyager especially. But no, she was a guest. She got her on camera. Here, not so much. Sorry, guys. You'll have to get into the portal to see that one again. Oh, that's cute, Johannes. He's been calling it Brexit Earth ever since the first time you watched the episode. Yeah. What are you saying here? Cairo, on YouTube, your comments can be read as well, but Facebook is a walled garden that doesn't even let comments from other platforms in. Yes, a bit like the White House with its new wall today. Thank you, Dan. The episode they aired was yesteryear. There you go. Which makes sense. It was the second one, right? Thank you, Rose. Hopefully you're doing too. George, you'd take Godzilla Gamera 2020 over the choices available? There you go. Cairo, yes, I know. I was being sarcastic there. I was noting the years. That was 1973, 7 years before the president. Reagan ran in 76 and didn't get the nomination of the Republicans. He barely lost and then came back 4 years later. So it was only 4 years away from somebody else who was upsetting the norms. Hey, Adrian, good to see you there. Yep, I just answered that. Yay. Cairo says, I would have loved to see an actual Federation presidential election in Star Trek. Guys, I don't think I may have had this inclination, but I saw somebody else put it this way, and I've carried the banner for the last 6, 8, 9 months since we've seen how the new buffet of Star Trek is going to proliferate and need some new recipes. I would love to see a Star Trek West Wing. If we can have Star Trek 90210 as a pitch title, we can have Star Trek the West Wing. I would love to see. You could still have all the races. It's a cheaper way to have so many you only need one or two. It could be a journey to Babel where you only need two of each one. It'd be like the Ark of the Federation. And they're all running around in Paris or in San Francisco or wherever. And you could get into the politics of the Federation. And there would be there would be ambassadors, and there would be ferrying of delegates, and there would be stuff happening, and you'd have Starfleet people being involved at times. There'd be stellar security issues, you know. You could have all kinds of things going. You could have comedy, drama, romance. It's just like you did with the West Wing. So, actually, Nathaniel, Reagan was governor in the 60s. So yes, he was political already. He started undoing a lot of what the elder Jerry Brown had been setting up. Those young kids are just getting too affluent. They're letting them talk. Next thing you know, they're going to let them vote. All that free college, getting them too smart. Cute, Glenn. If George had run for District 47 instead of 46, he would have won by default. Yeah. Let's see. Cairo. You know what? I never saw Andromeda, but I'll take your word for it. I'm sure a lot of people here have. Yeah, there's a whole one of those, if what's his face was still doing the rest of the story, that's been out there for a while. We should have George Takei run for president. I don't know if Brad would be too thrilled about that right now. Thank you, Linda. It's a perfect day to be political. Well, there's like being political, and there's standing back and being analytically political. So there you go. See, Cairo, this is such a European point of view. You call yourself, you're conservative, but you call yourself a progressive conservative. Yeah. As science teaches, keeping things stable needs constant change. Yeah. Yep. And seeing all humans as humans, always a good point. Always a good thing. George, every time I see political chat, I think of Free for All from The Prisoner, and I just sigh. Yeah. Yeah. What? Hot dog on a stick could never have anything to do with Star Trek. Larry, hold my Romulan ale. Yeah. Well, good timing for you. You guys just had elections, and now Europe is back in lockdowns. Pretty massive Central European, UK, France, Germany, Austria, probably more. Very cute, Daniel. Your Star Trek club election reminded you of the Red Hour. Festival. Yeah, Cairo, don't think what we have here is a lockdown at all. It is for half of the country. For half of the country, apparently it's not. But don't worry, that's the half the country that's staying right up there in the high ratings for coronavirus. So William says, am I going to do a live chat for the Star Trek motion picture anniversary? I hadn't planned on it. That's probably the kind of thing that 47 other people are going to be doing. I just hate piling on when it's one more of the same. Okay, Rebecca, I need an open house when it's not 1 p.m. GMT or 1 a.m. It's not even 1 a.m., is it? Isn't it more like 3? It's more like 3 a.m. Sorry. I'm not quite to the point yet where we can, maybe we will. Maybe in a year or two, I'll do an open house just for Europe and whatever else fits around the world. Parent analytics for Earthix. Okay. Let's see. Okay, well, Glenn, hopefully we didn't spoil it too much for you, okay? Although, I'm sorry, I don't come with spoiler warnings for the episode that will air 6 days ago. The new one is not tonight, tomorrow night. I've learned my lesson, guys. I was falling into Portal 47 Wednesday territory there. Let's see. Questions. I'm looking for a question. My kingdom for a question. Oh, yes. Thank you, Rebecca. I was going to do this. And I didn't queue it up. Discovery was #2 on the UK Netflix yesterday. It's been doing very well across a lot of Europe. The other hot topic this week is Synthahol. Yeah. Fire phasers. Yeah, there you go. Although you're dating yourself, Glenn, look out. Oh, cool, Robert. You were a candidate in the first time you could. That's interesting. What are we doing here? I'll take you home again, Kathleen. Christoph's got me here. Do I know if Discovery and Picard are shot and edited in full HD, 2K, 1080p, or maybe UDH 4K 2160p? I'm sorry, but we're only taking questions on Star Trek. Shout out to Monty Python. I don't know, Christoph. There's one of the editors is on Twitter. I should ask him. Let's see. I'm in sync every time you look. Oh no, what are we going to do about that? Bad camera resolution. I'm so sorry, guys. That's very strange. And some people are saying that we're in fine. I've got eyeglasses on here and going directly through. Don't know what to tell you, kiddos. And on my monitor, I look fine here on my monitor. Regarding isolationist Earth, I guess Terra Prime finally got its way. Yeah, slightly different eddies and currents, right? Terra Prime in the 2150s is on the threshold, is on the doorstep of barely making baby steps out in the galaxy. And United Earth Defense Force Earth in the 2300s is like tired, burned out, paranoid, or well, they're both paranoid, but it's like on the other end of that curve. Oh, we've done it all. We've been it all. We're just tired. And yeah, the TNG books with Bato and Jared Inyo and Jerish Inyo and all of that. Inyo County. Linda, we reach. Yes. I remember the first school teacher I had trying to wake up everybody to what was happening with Watergate when we were in junior high, and people were like, what? Brad as first lady could be fun. You have a point. First gentleman. Are we going to call, are they going to call Kamala's husband? Is he the second husband? Since anyway. The vice president's wife has been called the second lady, I think. So we'll see. The second gentleman. Dan says, are there any Trek recipe books? There are at least 3 recipe books. There's an old one from the 70s. There's a Neelix one from the 90s. And there's one that just came out, I thought. And there's lots of fanzine publishers books. We're down to the end of the chat. Where's Jared with his drinking contest? We only license Jared's drinking contest for Saturdays. Sorry, Rebecca. For Life Support Live, we have the drinking contest. Oh, Star Trek meets Princess Bride? That would be interesting. That feels like Firefly or something. I don't know. Ish. Well, sorry, guys. Visual is really not a thing. I'm sorry. It'll be sad if this is... maybe the Romulans are jamming. Camera is focused behind me and not on my face. That's just so weird, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you. Cairo, it'll be a long night following the U.S. from here. Cairo, Janet and I were at a convention in Germany in November 2000, and the whole Bush Gore thing played out while we were in our hotel room trying to sleep in Hamburg. I'll never forget that. The next day, we were going to get up and take we were going to get on a train. We went to Berlin, and we're going to take an English walking tour at like 10 or 11 in the morning around Berlin. This was barely 10 years after the wall was down. And I remember, for one thing, the only other person in line to take it was a gentleman from Arkansas who taught journalism. And come to find out that he had taught one of my colleagues at the newspaper in Norman that I worked at, who was another editor. It was just a small world. We're in Berlin, but we were all talking about and all the Germans were like, you have no president. You have no president. And I'm like, of course we do. It's Bill Clinton. He'll be president until January 20th. Anyway, yeah. I remember those European to American hours. That's how I spent election night 2000. Glenn, yes, you only drink coffee on Life Support Live because if not, you'd be passed out. But that's what live. Hey, we call it Life Support Live for a reason, guys. Volksmarken might be the live connection. Guys, I apologize for the video today. That's really sad. Sorry about that. But here we are. Here we are. If you have not got out to vote today, whatever you're going to do, please do. Please do. Okay. I don't know if you can find Janeway and Tuvok on the ballot there. Well, they'll get us home. Hey guys, once again, I just want to give a shout out to all of our Patreons, right? Thanks a lot, guys, for being there, for helping us spread. We're gradually spreading the reach. Okay, one more shot of our hot dog on a stick crew from number 318. But good message there. Remember to vote. Here in California, our polls are open till 8 p.m. Pacific, which is the first shift is about to get off the air on all the New York-based network guys. One more reminder, though. Seriously, when all this hubbub is over, Saturday, you'll be wanting a lift. Come in, do some early shopping with some of the licensee booths. There's a fan sets picture down here. Fan sets will be there too. November 7th, it's Vendors Hall. See that? HAUL. VendorsHall.com. Jump in. You can get all the links. Then it'll be all day Saturday Pacific time, like 7:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific. That's what's happening. And right now, you can all jump over to LarryNemecek.com. Click on the button, get signed in. It's free, totally free. We're going to have door prizes. We're going to have a mini roundtable as well as at least an hour with great director David Carson and the stuff of Star Trek that he's seen and had a hand in that you do not hear from. Again, it's all the Star Trek. You don't know, you don't know. That's Portal 47 in our annual open house. 5 years. 5 years going on 6. Otherwise, hey, I'm on Twitter. If you're following on YouTube right now, it's at Larry Nemecek on Twitter too and on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, that's my Instagram, Larry Nemecek's Trekland. And yes, if you're interested in Portal 47, check it out. Come with us, though, next week. We'll have a special or two next week during the open house as well. Portal47.net. You can read up on it. You can sure read up on your mini-con all year long. Otherwise, guys, check out the Trek Files if you haven't on Facebook. The paper is there too. And yes, of course, Life Support Live, complete with our retreat announcements and the drinking game, and even Dr. Ali, basing it on the current crop of Discovery episodes while we have new Trek, but we apply it. Our theme of the week goes to all Star Trek. So come geek out with us, even if you're not watching Discovery or watching it yet. Guys, that ever-present popular show that's starting to lead the charts. At least on the Parrot side of things and on the Canadian cablers too. Guys, listen, that's going to do it. Thanks everybody for joining me live on a busy Tuesday, wherever you are. Whether you're in this country, watch the return safe. I hate to say it, but brace yourself for the next few days if need be. Trek the vote. Trek the dot vote. Different. Trek the dot vote. It's on all over my page, my site. It's what my Trekland and regular page on Facebook have. It was set up to help people help get out the vote, help protect, share information. It's also got a wing that's going to be around to help stand up for protecting votes if need be afterwards. If that is something you want to be not left out of and have a hand in, they're even making plans to, legally, even body-wise. Nothing raucous, but if somebody needs a show of numbers and there's some planning to do for some walking the streets in the 2020 way, they're on top of that too. Trek the dot vote. Whatever happens around the world, fighting COVID, wherever you are here in the States, we have a lot more Star Trek to get to. So let's all be here for it, okay? Let's all stay healthy. Guys, let's all stay woke. As I always say, check the sources of the stuff you read. And most of all, let's all trek well, everybody.